Alright, so the first tip is, I guess this will be a trick, not a tip. So tips are basically just good advice. Trick would be information that helps you, gives you an advantage knowing it. And then a secret is basically a trick, information that gives you an advantage to know ahead of time, but is something that very few players are going to know. Alright, so the trick here is to hit escape and hit menu, skip tutorial, yes. And that will allow you, save you some time on fresh start launch day to get to questing sooner. And it looks like we're in Windsward. Excellent. Alright, so we're going to start the timer. Start. And off we go. Alright, so the first quest giver here is going to ask you to pick up one piece of flint and one piece of wood in order to create a skinning knife. However, we're going to pick up more than that so that we can create all of our gathering tools immediately. But our second tip, or trick, is to bypass the quest giver, go straight to this platform, pick up the hammer and this piece of lore, and then equip the hammer so that instead of the sword we're going to start with the hammer. And we're going to run back, pick up some more flint. So, a couple of tips right off the start. Number one, if you want to get to level 20 quickly, the best tip here is just to really focus on leveling. Try to not get distracted by individual fights, so you want to avoid fighting as much as possible because fights take time. If it's unavoidable, if you have to fight, then you're going to want to gather up as many of the mobs as is reasonable to defeat at one time. And take care of them all at once. So either avoid fights altogether or gather up a number of mobs all at once to take care of them all at the same time. So that's a tip, to stay focused on leveling by avoiding fights or by gathering up all the mobs you need all at once. In this case, we only need one mob. We have to kill this one mob. There aren't any other mobs around, so we're just going to kill the one pig. Now, another corollary of staying focused on leveling is not to overgather. However, the exception to that is to accomplish some goal that you have in mind. For this character, for this run, my goal here is going to try to get engineering before we hit level 20. And so that means I'm going to pick up every piece of flint that we come across in this starter zone, and I'm also going to do all of the harvesting that I come across, and then in addition to that, there's a quest early on in Windsward where you need 40 chopped wood, not harvested wood like we did earlier with the harvesting wood from bushes, but now that we have an axe, we need to harvest 40 chopped green wood. We need to collect 40 stone from boulders and 14 rawhide. So we got some rawhide from that pig. I'm certain we'll kill at least one more thing until we have the necessary 14 rawhide. Outside of that, we're going to try not to do any excess wood chopping. We're going to try not to do any excess skinning. It takes a lot of time until we get either advanced iron tools or steel tools, because it's so much faster to harvest, to gather anything with either an advanced iron tool or a steel tool. Now, when I say advanced, when you have engineering of 0, you can create iron tools, but the gathering speed of those iron tools is pretty much exactly the same as the gathering speed of flint tools. So the goal there would be to advance your engineering using gunpowder, which takes flint, charcoal, and saltpeter. So we're going to get a lot of saltpeter with a Windsward start, which is going to help us get to 50 really quickly in our engineering. And so once you've gotten 50 or near 50 engineering, you can create those iron tools if you're not yet level, I believe it's 16 or 17, and you can create advanced iron tools, which will give you a speed boost for using them. So you want to advance your engineering first, then create your tools. If you're level 16, you can use steel tools, so you can go straight into using the steel tools if it's either 16 or 17. Before then, you have to use some iron tools, but with your higher engineering, they will have higher gathering speed. So those are the tips. Focus on leveling by skipping fights or combining fights, and minimizing extraneous gathering, except for in this case harvesting to level 30, because that will allow you to collect motes, which can be used, specifically the air and soul motes can be used to make weak proficiency potions, which will help you level your engineering. And of course, we're going to pick up all the flint and saltpeter that we find. For the charcoal, more than likely what I'll do is, when we get into town, I'll set up a buy order in the trading post in order to buy as much green wood as we can at a good price, so we don't have to spend time chopping. Alright, so that's 3 of the 5 people that we need. Right here there's a guaranteed round shield. There's a number of weapons that are scattered about, and I'll show you where all those are. So that is a trick, and the trick is to know where to look for all of the weapons that you'll need. And here's another trick. I'm going to hit menu, recall to watchtower, teleport me back to the watchtower instead of running. Saves a tiny bit of time. There's a total of 3 points. This is the first point, and there's 2 other points in the starter zone where it makes sense to teleport back to or recall back to watchtower. And I'll point those out as we go. Alright, so we're on to the second leg of the journey here. Our goal at this point is we're going to meet Grace O'Malley, So we're going to kind of rescue her to begin with. Now there's a mob here. I'm just going to avoid him. And then if we do get somebody's attention, which I hear that we just did, so I'm just going to go pull everybody together. Oh, and I've run back to the original starting zone, which was probably not what I intended to do. But anyway, the fight was unavoidable as soon as they noticed us. So I went ahead and gathered them all up. And actually, that reminds me, there's another tip here is to always pick up chapters that you run across. And so there is a chapter here that I missed first time I was here, which is so it's a good thing that we ran back. I'm going to pick this up. You can see we get 120 XP for picking up that chapter. Every time we pick up another chapter, we'll get slightly more XP. And so if you start early and pick up every single lore chapter that you find, it will add up very, very quickly. So I can hear that we've gotten some attention. So I'm just going to gather them all together. There we go. And then each of these corruption nodules just takes one hit of any weapon. There we go. Now we meet Grace. You don't have to interact with Grace. She's going to tell you that she knows where a safe spot. Yeah. Since I know where that spot is, what I'm going to do is run ahead. She's a pretty slow runner, so I'm just going to use this time to gather any flint or anything else that I see. There's another lore chapter up ahead, so we're going to pick that up. Or no, wait, so we're going to pick up the flint. We're going to talk to her. Let's open our survival cache. Put some clothes on. Now I'm going to try to keep the equipment load light, so I'm not going to equip any medium level armor. So anything that's medium or heavy, I'm just going to disenchant. And yes, you can put on a heavy chest piece with medium everything else, but I'm also going to salvage the worn long sword, and everything else should be fine. And we're not going to salvage any of the weapons because on a fresh start, a lot of folks are going to run right by the weapons that they prefer. So the first thing they're going to do when they get to town is they're going to buy their preferred weapon. So these, normally you would never bother putting gray items on the trading post, but on a fresh start, you are definitely going to put those weapons up as soon as you get there. Alright, so that's the first quest hub. Rescuing Grace O'Malley. She's now asked us to go basically loot this this ship. So we're gonna come over here, pick up this lore, which is a quest item this time, so you really kind of have to. I should probably apply, this is going to be a strength run, so I'll apply everything to strength and put some weapon mastery. I'm not going to use the hammer all the way through, I'm just using it until we get the great sword. It is a guaranteed drop with the windward start. it is a quest reward, and so we'll see that when we get there. So that's one of the 3 items that Grace wanted us to pull out of the wreckage here. Pick up the other 2. There's going to be some sleeping pigs. We're going to let sleeping pigs lie. However, we're going to jump up to the back here. It can be a little difficult, so sometimes it helps come up the side. There is a guaranteed spear, so I would consider this a secret because that spear 99% of the people are going to miss. It's hard to get to. It's not obvious. So that is one of the guaranteed weapons, but they've put it in such an awkward place that I would consider that a secret rather than a tip or a trick. Alright, now, again, letting the sleeping boar lie. We have all 3 items. Now we're going to run and talk to Grace again. And she is going to give us, out of gratitude, a greatsword, which is what we're going to use for this run. There's the Dreadkeel, which is the probably the next weapon that we'll equip will be the Blunderbuss, which is another guaranteed quest drop. I'm going to gather up some of these mobs since I got that guy's attention. I'm just going to ignore them. They're going to go away when I... Now this one I can't ignore. Alright, so we get the flag. We're going to go to the back of the ship and get the wheel. And then, not sure if this one is so far off the beaten path that I would consider it a trick or a secret, but if you are someone who likes the fire staff, it is a little bit off the beaten path after we pick up ship's wheel. If you look at the map, we're supposed to go over here, back to the watchtower. So if you don't care about the fire staff, you could recall the watchtower immediately and run and go right back to the watchtower. Alright. If you are someone who wants the fire staff, then you're going to come over here and you have to fight this guy. So I've gathered up a few people. Right. And right here on this rock, next to the box, is a fire staff. I grab this herb, because again, we're trying to avoid over-gathering, but we do have a goal of having 40 green wood, 40 stone, and 14 rawhide. We have just the rawhide remaining, so we are going to recall the watchtower. And that will save us a bit of a run. We're going to go from here to there in just a few seconds. Now we got our blunderbuss. So I'd rather use the bow in combination with the greatsword, because they both have run speed capabilities, which can help. There's a lot of running in this early piece, but unfortunately in Windsward there is not a guaranteed bow that you get, so hopefully we'll get one as a random drop. In the meantime, I'm going to use the blunderbuss, and then when we get to town, we'll go ahead and craft one. So at this point, we've talked to Grace. We're going to go to the corrupted cave and clear it out. On the way to the corrupted cave, however, we're going to actually run a little bit beyond the corrupted cave and pick up 3 chapters before we head on in. So, is there anything else? Light hat. Wonderful lime green hat. Let's see. I think I have some skins. Let's do the Legionnaires skins. There we go. In the early stages, you're going to pretty much take what you can get with respect to armor, and it leads to a very disjointed hobo look. But if you have any of the free skins, you can certainly apply them so that you don't look quite so silly with everything unmatched. Alright, so we're going to get this supply chain crate in the loot there. Here's number 1. We have 2 more chapters to get. Here's number 2 and number 3. Now, had you run back from the other boat, you could have just picked them up along the way. So 6 of one, half dozen of the other, to some degree. Now we're going to go back into the cave.
And they shall witness the power manifest, the true future of the human race.
Let's pick up and apply our weapon masteries. Now, for the second point of Greatsword, you always want to take Swift Onslaught, because that will give you a speed boost. I should not have picked that fight. That will give you a speed boost whenever you use one of your Greatsword abilities. I'll show that to you in a minute. Once we get outside, I'll talk about that in more detail. Alright, now since we're in Windsward, after we kill these 2 and pass through the veil, the trick is that there's saltpeter inside this cave, and there's a lot of it. So we're actually going to collect all the saltpeter first before we kill the boss. The saltpeter is on a 5-minute timer. 5 minutes. Every 5 minutes, the saltpeter regenerates. So what we want is roughly 125, 150 saltpeter in order to level our engineering all the way to 50. So we're going to clean up all the saltpeter, kill the boss, go outside and do a little harvesting, and then come back and do another run through the cave, hopefully picking up all the saltpeter we need. So in our first pass, we picked up, it looks like, 74. So assuming, now there's going to be a lot of competition on fresh starts. Other people may know about the saltpeter. So if you don't get it, it could actually be worth your time to wait another 5 minutes until it respawns, until you get at least 2 full loads of saltpeter, so that you can, well, alright, return to Windward Watchtower. So we've completed the objective. However, we do want to wait 5 minutes for the saltpeter to regenerate. So what I'm going to do here, we picked that up already, is jump out and go out here. What we're looking for is there is some more saltpeter. Oh, first we're going to grab these herbs. These herbs. Come to think of it, next time I'll probably leave the chapters, since we know we're going to come back outside to do some harvesting while we wait for the saltpeter to respawn. Next time I'll go straight into the cave and then get the chapters while we're waiting for the saltpeter to respawn. So we're going to pick up flint. Up here, for whatever odd reason, outside, which is very unusual, there are 2 pieces of saltpeter. Strange but true. Alright, so it looks like somebody else is also out here harvesting, so we're probably not going to find any more herbs, but we probably find some flint we can pick up. We're just killing time. And I know on a fresh start, the whole point is to go fast, fast, fast. But trust me, having your engineering at 50 is going to make everything so much faster. To the point that I'm actually tempted, again, since we're killing time anyway, I'm just going to cut some trees so that we can make the charcoal rather than waiting for the order to be filled on the auction house. Cut just a couple more trees. And then head back to the cave. So you actually need about 1,200 green wood in order to level your engineering to 50 using saltpeter, flint, and then you're making the green wood into charcoal. So it's a lot of chopping. Probably won't get all of that chopping done on the way to Windsward, but we got a little out of the way. I believe it's somewhere in the order of, I'm going to have to look these numbers up. I'll put an overlay as to what the actual numbers are. It's a lot of flint. a lot of saltpeter and a tremendous amount of wood. So I know that I have to fight these two over here, so I've gathered everyone up. Okay. Doesn't, oh, this one, either I missed it the first time or it's already respawned. So what I'm going to do here is called animation canceling. I want to activate my speed boost. So I'm going to so this is what it looks like if I just purely activate my crosscut. Pick these up. Alright. So I'm going to hit the button. 1, 2, 3. And then there's a ground smash and a bit of a pause. You can see I've got the haste effect, kind of emanating off of my chest piece. But what we want to avoid is the slowdown caused by the crosscuts and the especially the ground pound at the end. So we're going to interrupt that animation with a forward roll. So I've defined the forward roll to be a button on my mouse. So what you're going to see is I'm going to hit my Q, and then it's going to take a little bit of a swing. I'm going to roll forward. You can see the animation was canceled, and I get the haste. So that haste is available every 10 seconds. So every 10 seconds I can do crosscut, interrupt with a forward roll, and move forward. Now my crosscut is only available every, looks like 13 seconds. So I'm going to use the countdown timer of the crosscut to say, well, I can only use it every 13 seconds, so I have to wait. Every time it is available, I can use it. Now once I get a second ability, the Skyward Slash, I will be able to use the crosscut to activate it, and then while the crosscut is still on cooldown, I'll be able to use Skyward Slash to activate the haste again. So in this way you can get maximal uptime from that 20% haste buff. It's called animation canceling. So it's definitely a trick. A lot of people use it, so hard to qualify that as a secret. I think we've gotten all of the respawned saltpeter at this point. Let's see, how much do we have? 122. Well, probably just move on at this point. So we've already killed the boss, and what we need to do now is just recall the watchtower. There's a wolf's den close to Windsward, and we can probably get the remaining saltpeter we need either from there or just straight off the auction house. Trading post. Alright, so we're done with this area, except as they've sent us onwards to you know what, there's another couple of chapters that we forgot to pick up, so let's go pick those up. There's one here on this rock. So 120 XP for that. I'm going to pick up some more flint. And at that, see the torch over there? There's another chapter over there. Also in this area, there's some herbs to gather. Kind of a weird secret. There's a hidden cave over there. I'm not going to go look for it right now. In the side of the cave, there's a supply cache and a life bloom, which there's no way anybody in the starter zone would be able to pick. So it's kind of an interesting cave, but there's really nothing in it other than a supply chest. So not going to spend time going over there looking for that. Pick up some of these trees while I'm here. Ton of flint. Alright, now there is a statue we need to talk to. This is unavoidable. In the PTR at least, if you avoid it and go to Windsward. Now, we should have picked up 8 weapons either off the ground or through quest drops at this point. This one I would also consider a secret because seriously, who's going to jump on top of the rock that just wasted that much of their time? But I did manage to find in my explorations the Void Gauntlet. So that should be the 9th and final weapon that is available in the starter zone from Windsward, which this one appears to be. I'll just take care of that. We need a little bit of more rawhide anyway, so that should be the last of the rawhide that we need for the quest. And now we're full, so we gotta make some room. Let's wear that. Made us a little room. Now, we've picked up the quest here from Hapless Hal. Hapless Hal wants us to pick up some truffles, so we're going to follow the little breadcrumb trail, pick up all the truffles. The truffles, the truffles are actually like chests, so everyone can loot them. There won't be any competition during Fresh Start for the truffles. There will, of course, be competition for all of the herbs, so you may not, your mileage may vary with respect to how many of the herbs you get in the starter zone. Okay, so there's a trick. While you're looting, you can actually reassign your points. Whether you're mining or skinning or what have you, you can always hit K and assign your points. Now I really don't want to fight the big pig, so hopefully he lets me get the provisions, which he did. I don't care as much about the stockpile, and I'm going to move along. Let's see if we can reset. It's not that the big pig is hard, it's just that he has a lot of hit points. So it takes a while to finish the fight. Now if you get here and somebody else is fighting the pig, absolutely by all means let them fight the pig or help out. It will take less time when there's two of you. And when he resets, you can go ahead. Oh, and I'm now encumbered, which there's more harvestables here, but we're already pretty full up. So we're going to grab some berries, which are very useful for leveling cooking, and plus picking them levels your harvesting. No, I don't want the herbs. Pick these herbs. Alright, so just to recap, tips for leveling to 20 quickly would be avoid fights, which I'm demonstrating what not to do, I guess. So this secret little layer up here has no saltpeter, no metal, even though it looks like a standard animal layer. It doesn't have any of the standard animal layer benefits of saltpeter or metal. I'm not going to skin the pigs because I just don't have the weight a lot for it. But I am going to pick up the last of these herbs. Alright, that's really about all I can handle. So I'm going to demonstrate the animation cancel again and continuously until we get to, oh actually we have to kill this pig. These two pigs, because I would like the provisions. That is all we can handle. Did we already? Yeah, we got all the truffles we need. All right, moving on. So here we go. Crosscut, roll. Now normally I would stop and kill these turkeys, but really don't have the room. Alright, and when that timer hits 3, we're going to do a skyward slash, and now we've activated our haste again. The crosscut and the skyward slash will allow you to keep haste up pretty fully. Alright, so we've come in at an odd angle to Windsward. I'm going to go ahead and pick up some of the lore pages while we're on our way to turn in our quest. More pages up here. So I'm not going to pick up the town board just yet because there is a quest for that slightly further along. But you definitely want to make sure you pick up the town board before you leave town. Let's dump everything. Salvage that. And again, So we've collected all those resources. We do not want to process any of the resources until we get the quest that tells us to process the resources. It's very important, because otherwise you're just going to end up having to leave town and harvest all over again. So right now we're just picking up lore. See, now the ante has been raised. We're now getting 140 per lore. Still a few more lore chapters to pick up. There's definitely some in here. There's 3. 1, 2, and then one on the second floor. So again, if knowing all those locations is important, throw a comment in below, like and subscribe, something. Just let me know that that's information that you want. I will either post it on YouTube in the comments, or more than likely I'll keep some of that information on the Discord page. And I'll put that link to that Discord below. We have to go to the inn right here. Check in. Talk to Grace. I'm going to go up to the 3rd floor. Pick up 2 more lore. One here. Where's the other one? Is it on the 2nd floor? Yeah, there it is. So one on the 2nd floor, one on the 3rd floor. I'll have to update my notes. Alright, now we have to open the storage, and we have to open the trading post, and then we're going to go back to talk to Grace. So at this point, on Fresh Start, there's probably going to be almost nothing on the auction house. And what I'm recommending you do, I have a bow. I'm going to keep the bow, but I'm going to sell everything else. Now this server's already been up for a week, so you can see the prices are such that it almost doesn't make any sense to sell these. But I can tell you, when this server was launched, there we go. We'll just put that for 50. And there was nothing on the server when I ran a Fresh Start. All of those weapons easily sold for 50. So the other trick here is to change the length of posting to 1 day. It's going to be very active, very chaotic. So there's no point in posting for more than a day. Now, Void Gauntlets is interesting. Since they're so well hidden, both in the Monarch's Bluff and in the Windsward, it's worth it to put the value of those pretty high. So, I'm going to go back to storage and equip the bow.
Civilization is built on a foundation of lies and greed. A flawed structure shall crumble beneath my might.
I do like the blunderbuss quite a bit. It also scales on strength as well as the greatsword, so it is a great combination with the greatsword. However, it doesn't have a speed buff, movement buff, where the bow does. Don't forget to pick up these territory cards. Now, conventional wisdom is not to pick up the XP gain, because you only get benefit from it while you're leveling, and then afterwards, never again. If you're trying to stay ahead of the pack, me personally, I'm going to be picking the XP gain whenever it comes up the first time through. Conventional wisdom on the original start was to always pick storage when it comes up. However, they've made so many changes to storage, and you have access to all of your storage across all of the towns. I personally am not going to be picking storage. I'm going to be focusing on decreasing my crafting fees, my trading fees, the standings gain. That's going to be my strategy. Ultimately, maybe that's not the best strategy. Use your own judgment as to what you would prefer. Alright, now we've opened up the quest, which will have us process all those raw materials that we gathered. And that quest giver is right here. So you can see it says it wants us to gather stone and rawhide. We already have those materials in the bank, so I'm just going to pull them. And now they are considered complete, and we don't have to go out and get those. I'm going to process. So the next step in the quest chain is to process those things. So I'm going to process them. It looks like I'm going to fail at processing the leather. So we'll try it again. There we go. Now we're going to do the stone and the wood. Now we're only going to process enough wood to satisfy the quest, because all the rest of the wood is going to go into charcoal. Okay. So it wants 10. So that's our 10. I'm going to take all the rest of that, put it into charcoal. So we're going to go back to the quest giver, turn that in. Get a musket. So if you're a musket user, this would be the 10th guaranteed weapon. And having turned in that quest, that will open up another quest giver. And this quest giver is going to give us a satchel full of iron, which we will use to make. So first we're going to process the iron that he just gave us. So you'll notice that there was no iron on the way to Windsward, so this is very helpful, because you don't have to actually go out and hunt for the iron. Always get the free honey, so there's a tip. Always get the free honey and the free milk in town when you see it. We have to craft this longsword. So some of the iron is taken up with that, but we're going to talk to him. And he gives us a vial of suspended Azoth, which of course you can use to become Azoth. So that is a huge reward. And then what we're going to do here is put in buy order for another, can I afford 50? Yeah. In fact, I can afford 100. So we're going to look for all the Azoth that we can get. A lot of people aren't going to value it since it's given freely from a quest. I'm going to put in a buy order for berries. And again, we're just not going to have very long time frames to keep in, and that's in order to keep our prices down, our fees down. No, we don't want that. 0.01 is what we were looking for. Now we can do 1,000. That's better. Will folks fill buy orders for charcoal at 0.01? Maybe, maybe not. Doesn't hurt to try. It's a minimal outlay for a pretty good reward if they do. Just be sure to always change it to 1 day. So a lot of these higher level goods people are going to get, they're not going to be able to use them. So they're going to be willing to sell them very cheaply just to get them out of their bags. So if you get them, great. If you don't get them, not that much loss. We got plenty of flint. That's excellent. Honey is incredibly useful, so we're willing to pay. I'm willing to pay 15 cents, but I won't be able to do too much. Yeah, that's good. Hyssop. Place buy order. Folks are gonna go nuts gathering hyssop for sure. So we'll see what we can get. Iron ingots. I'm gonna hold off on iron ingots just for now. But the iron ore is still pretty high. Let's see. Nope. Let's do 150. Milk. Ooh, that's really high for milk. Hold off on that. Mint. We definitely want to place a buy order for pork. and red meat. I am going to go 11 cents and let this guy pick up his 4,000 first. And I'll just look for 500. May or may not get any red meat. Salt. It's already pretty high. Of course, you can see salt is very valuable, so I don't have the leftover funds for salt at this point. Saltpeter, I've got a fair amount. Sugar, let's skip thyme. Okay, and we already did active buy orders. We started with that. Alright, excellent. Oh, let's see, how much do we have left? Let's look for steel, botanist charm, place buy order. I'm going to look for 10 of them. Let's look for 5. Let's look for 3. Lumberjack. So these steel charms allow you to put discipline on your tools, which is a fantastic perk for your gathering tools. Alright, which one have we not done yet? Miners. Buy. Okay. And that's all we can afford. Alright, so we've run ourselves dry. Let's see if we have enough money to still craft one tool. Actually, let's do 2 tools. I think we have enough for that. Yeah. So we could either do a logging axe or a mining pick, or both a sickle and a knife. I'm going to choose 2, and I'm going to use our suspended Azoth to give me the Azoth I need. Skinning knife. So we'll get a perk. We don't know what it'll be. Azoth extraction, not terrible. Set active tool. Oh, shoot. So I did that in the wrong order. Definitely should have crafted first. Yeah, it's okay. Alright, now we'll do the harvesting. I don't have enough money. Let's actually salvage those things, which gives us a little money. And maybe we have enough for the harvesting sickle. Hopefully some of that charcoal order gets filled. Alright, now we have the quest to go to the town board, so we'll do that. And then we'll head to the next quest hub. Sheep is not great. There's really no sheep nearby. We're not going to do that much fishing. Alligators. Probably won't see any alligators for a while. I definitely do not want to give up green wood. Feathers are okay. Fibers are okay. We won't see any lynx for a while. So next time we come into town, hopefully we'll get a better selection of town board quests. In the original watch, the amount of XP that you got from the town boards was such that a perfectly valid strategy for power leveling was to do nothing but town boards. In a rapid that I won't go into, but they've nerfed. There's another chapter. I'm going to pick up this hemp, not because I actually care so much about the hemp, but I really want to get to 30 harvesting, and hemp does a very good job at leveling your harvesting. Of course, the hemp is useful. But once we get to 30, we'll probably not go out of our way to harvest hemp unless we need it for a specific purpose. Alright. So we picked up the quest from this gentleman sitting by the road. The trees that we need to pick are on the other side of the lake, so we're gonna do that. And also, a lot of people don't realize this, but there's some silver. Actually, I'm gonna forget about the silver for now, because the water moats are up. Whenever this floating spinefish is up, it's probably a good idea. And I forgot to pull the wood lice out of storage. Alright, so let's go pick up the quest items over here. I'm going to grab some briar and some bulrush. It will be helpful for arcane, leveling the arcane. However, what I really want are fireflies that I can use for fishing. So I'm not going to go crazy. Oh, I already got some fireflies, so that's good. You don't get any harvesting points from harvesting bulrush or reeds, but the materials that you get, the reeds from the bulrush and the briar buds from the briars, are very useful in arcane. And they also sell quite well. So if you're in need of some funds, that's a good way to get some funds. And I'm just going to come up here and harvest these bushes. What we're looking for from the bushes are wood lice, because we're going to pick up the fishing quest. I'm not going to do a lot of fishing, but it does give pretty good XP for not a lot of work. But he won't give you the fishing pole unless you give him 3 wood louse. And in the starting zone when we picked up our original, harvested the original bushes to harvest our original, so that we could craft our gathering tools, our flint gathering tools. Sometimes you get your 3 louse right there. So if you remember, before you come out here, the trick there would be to remember to bring those with you, and then you don't have to spend time out here harvesting bushes for wood lice. Let's see if we got any. 1. And we need 3. Of course, we need all the wood we can get for charcoal to level our engineering. Now we're typically harvesting bushes, even though it's faster. You typically only get 1 piece at a time, so it turns out to be much less efficient to harvest wood from bushes than it is to chop trees. But in this case, we're not actually after the wood, we're after the wood lice. Alright, so here's our quest giver for fishing. Equip that, and then we're going to hit F3 to pull out that. We're going to hit R and choose the firefly bait, and that's just to increase our chances of getting good fish. You get more XP from landing a good fish than you do from landing mediocre fish, so you want to give yourself as much advantage as possible by always using fireflies in freshwater. Alright, now that we've caught our first fish, you can see that has activated our ability to see the hotspot. Hotspot was always there, we just couldn't see it because our fishing wasn't high enough. And now that we have a fishing skill of at least 1, you can see the hotspot. So the advantage of fishing in hot spots is that A, you catch fish much faster. You get the initial bite much faster, so there's a lot less waiting time between fish. And B, you get better fish. So, large salmon, nice. So, your general tip for fishing is always fish in a hot spot, and always use bait. This will be our 3rd fish. There we go, 56 XP for a small pike. And we're going to move on. Now, obviously you could sit there and fish for longer if you wanted to. I like fishing. Normally I would if I wasn't in a hurry, but I am in a hurry, so I just caught the minimum 3 to complete the quest and then moved on. 27. Alright, so this first quest series is going to send us through this kind of ruined village filled with the withered, or they're basically zombies. So again, we're going to avoid as many fights as we can. However, that guy's always hunched over the supply cache, which is one of the things you need, and the windmill. So there's no avoiding that. So recapping our primary tips: focus on questing, which means avoid as many fights as you can. If you can't avoid them, stack them up and handle as many mobs as you can at once without dying. So pro tip, dying is very costly in terms of time, so don't die. But you can, stack mobs so that you can handle them simultaneously. Also, always try to use both of your weapons so that they each get some play. Now, sometimes there will be barley here. If there's barley there, you definitely want to pick it up. There's a ton of lore chapters right here, so I'm going to go pick up all of those first, and then I'm going to go upstairs and handle the quest. So even though that zombie has roared his challenge, we're just going to avoid that fight. Come up here. If he follows us up here, that's fine, because we can take care of all of these at the same time. There we go. Okay, in the corner there, these are quest sacks of grain. So we've got all of our sacks of grain. We need to fix the second windmill and pick up a couple of more chests on the way. We've picked up all of the lower chapters. We are going to pick up these strawberries if they're up. 1, because it helps your harvesting. 2, because strawberries are awesome. Normally there's several mobs in this field. Somebody must have come through recently. So we're just going to say thank you to whoever that was. Run on through. I'm going to try to do a better job about remembering to do the animation cancel run to speed things along, but everything here is so close together that it hasn't made a lot of sense to do that. Again, normally there's a lot of mobs here. On Fresh Start, the mobs are going to have a lifespan in the nanoseconds. So somebody's already got these strawberries. I'm going to try to avoid that guy over there just because he has a lot of hit points. Get this lore chapter. Now that lore chapter is called Hidden Treasures. And in the original launch, there were 3 strawberry plants. One right here, under the floorboards, one right there, and one right there. So I think the title of that chapter was kind of a nod to the fact that there was strawberries under the floor. But my guess is that people complained because it appeared to be a glitch and not something intentional. And so it looks like they moved those strawberries outside. I will definitely miss my hidden treasures because most people didn't know they were there. And they made an excellent source of income on the original launch. I harvested those strawberries all the time. Alright, we're going to take a little detour here. We're going to remember to do our animation cancel. We're going to avoid as many fights as we can, but we are going to do the quests up here real quick. If you do it right, you shouldn't have to fight any of the mobs. Up here. So there's a chapter in there. all we're doing really is picking up chapters, which you can essentially just bump and run. Okay, talk to this quest person. Also very quick. And then we're going to jump back on the road. So this is another difference for those that are returning. In the original launch, your speed was your speed. Since then, they've added a haste buff to the roads, so that it's actually faster to run on the roads. So, tip, run on the roads whenever you can. So the Skyward Slash doesn't exactly animation cancel, but it's a short animation anyway, so it's not too bad. I don't particularly care for the squash there, but I just wanted to get our harvesting up. There's more strawberries here. Alright, so we're going to turn these quests in. And then he's going to send us back through pretty much the exact same route for another round. Right, now there's another chapter over here. I think we missed one over here. Yeah. So we're just going to run our route in reverse. First time we went clockwise, now we're going to go counterclockwise. None of the chests have respawned yet, so there's no real point in doing any of that. Okay. If the strawberries that respawn, that might be worthwhile, but nope. Check on the barley. Let's see if that's respawned. It has. Well, at least that one piece. Pick up this barley while we're here. Couple carrots. Really close to 30. Alright, let's go turn this in. Make sure we pick our cards. Territory standing. XP gain. over here. Hopefully I'm going to pick up some more flint. So this quest is teaching you how to set up a camp, which is another good tip. So this tip comes straight from the quest giver. If you think you're going to hit an area that's more difficult, it is a good idea to set up a camp, set up a save point, and if you die, you'll run back from your save point and not from the closest city or shrine. Now can I still tip that guy? No. Alright. I should have. So they've added music. If you're a returning player or a new player and you don't know about it yet, music is a mechanic in the game, and when people play. Alright. I need to talk to somebody up there first. Music is a mechanic, and it allows a lot of buffs. One of the buffs that you get typically early is buffs to gathering. Oh, I guess I was too far. So we'll set up camp here. Now we can go talk to that guy. So this quest, the first couple times through, for some reason I had the hardest time finding him on the balcony there. So the trick is to know ahead of time where your quest giver or object is, and that one is on the balcony. I guess my turkey stuck around waiting for me to harvest him. Now we're going to head carefully into the Iron Rose garrison. It's pretty easy if you're running solo to pick up too many of these, and they are all wearing armor. They all have pretty decent weapons. So if you're better at combat than I am, which is probably almost everyone, maybe you'll be able to handle it. I tend to proceed pretty carefully. Fortunately, the Dark Warlock here cleared the way for me. Okay, takes care of that. That is the quest loot we needed. Thank you for the level 58. Cleared that person out for us. This is the other quest thing. I'm going to help her even though she shouldn't be fighting this guy. With all of the quests out of the way, it's best just to head back the way you came so as to avoid fights. And we're just going to head to the turn-in spot. Keep our haste going. definitely want to pick up the shrine here. And now we'll turn in our quests and get the next quest hub.
Thank you so much. The feedback I hear I'm
So this area is rich with resources, and we just got a bag, so make sure to equip that right away.
You must fight your way into the Iron Keep alone. Find what you can, then use the spirit shrine to meet me in Corridor. Valor is a beacon, friend.
Okay. We're heading straight forward into the next camp. It's another Iron Rose camp. Let's apply all of our strength before we get in there. Alright, so again we want to get soul sprouts and air sprouts preferentially whenever we see them, because they can be used to level engineering. Broccoli is always good. Just going to grab a couple, even though there's a lot here. Not on a primarily gathering mission right now, so just enough to put in the bags that we could put a buy order in next time we're in town. Alright. Gotta make our bow a little more useful. So, key trick here is to know where you need to go. And where you need to go is up these back stairs on both sides. Otherwise, these rooms are a bit of a maze, and there's a lot of them. So we're going to grab what we need. We're not going to fight that guy because it's a long fight and it's not required. So we do have to fight this guy. There. And we fall. That guy's going to chase us a little bit. See if we can get this before they come up the stairs. Nope. I don't think we got it. And now we're in trouble. And we're gonna die. Remember that don't die thing? This is not what it looks like. So now we have to run back for the spirit shrine. We probably should have set a camp a little bit closer. But at least we picked up the spirit shrine. So it's not forever away. We'll use our animation cancel to go a little bit faster. correct stairway is on the far side. We're going to skip all of those interior rooms and just go up the staircase on the far side. Looks like somebody else took care of the mobs for us. So we're out. And even though we'll probably trigger a lot of these folks as we run through, we're just going to run on through. Alright, so just to recap, key tips: focus on leveling, avoid any unnecessary fights. You have to fight, gather up the mobs that you feel you can handle, don't die, and pick up chapters. Those are the key points that I'm trying to drive home. And then as we've gone along, there's been a couple of other tips, tricks, and secrets. Haven't had any real secrets since the starter zone. Had the Void Gauntlet location and the Spear location for Windsward. Also, the fact that Saltpeter drops like rain in the Corrupted Cave and respawns every 5 minutes. Alright, so we've fulfilled our quest, and they wanted us to potentially use the Spirit Shrine to travel, but since our recall to inn should be up, we're going to do that instead. Hopefully some kind soul will have been chopping wood for us while we were out questing and providing us with charcoal. If not, might be a good time to do that. Don't really want to take the time to chop wood. So let's see what we get. So we're going to turn in a bunch of quests here. Now you can see here it says that first house is available, and Everfall is a recommended place to go. Now let's talk about Everfall. That's a recommended place to go at level 15. Everfall used to be a starting zone, and pretty early on in the release they removed it from being a starting zone, but they didn't really reset the mobs or anything, so it was still very leveling zone-esque. Now, I believe they've increased the level of, let's see, mana potions, that, all very, very good, like that. Anyway, as I was saying, now in Everfall, all the mobs are kind of a minimum level 18. So if you go there at 15, you might be hard pressed.